Hello and welcome back. So, for this series, the title of this episode is The Blue Flamingo. And I want to stop there for a minute and actually kind of share my mind or just give you an insight why I chose the name of Blue Flamingo. You see, in the last episode, we talked about finding the big elephant in the room. And one of the prerequisites of, one of the conditions of being able to find the big elephant in the room is you need enough level of familiarity in your kind of market space or in the market that you're working, whether it is health, wealth, or relationships. But you need some level of familiarity, especially at the second level or even the third level. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, be sure to go and visit the three core markets and carving out your niche and some of those other episodes. And so for this one to work, you would need to actually have some level of knowledge to be able to identify the biggest gaps that are already in that market that you can capitalize on, or the biggest problems that no one is talking about, or the biggest elephant in the room that no one seems to be noticing. And then that way you can use that one as the platform, or you can plant your flag right there and then be able to kind of take over it. However, I thought about it and I thought about what if you're brand new? What if you're starting something new, you're changing, you just decided to make a career change, or you're just starting over, you're a young guy, young girl, and you're just trying to start something for yourself. So what do you do? And so this is kind of the rationale or the reason why I started the Blue Flamingo, or reason why I came up. Now it's nothing new, but I just coined the phrase the Blue Flamingo. That way it can be something that you can easily relate to. And so the reason about the Blue Flamingo is number one, now just a side story. Now I've seen flamingos in real life. Coming from Kenya, there are plenty of them here in Kenya. So we've got in Lake Elementais and Lake Naivasha. And if you have not seen them, I highly suggest that you make a trip. But don't get too excited. Well, that's because one of the things about them, as beautiful as they are, as magnificent birds as they are, is that they stink, and they stink a lot, and they stink from far. And they really stink. So I can't emphasize that enough. You might want to wear, I don't think one pair of masks is going to be enough. You probably need a couple, or not even oxygen mask or something like that, because those animals, those birds really stink, as beautiful as they are. So I highly recommend coming with a pair of binoculars to actually watch them from afar, or a camera with a huge lens or a far looking lens. That way you can see them from far away and take pictures from far away, because you really don't want to come near them because they absolutely stink. Now, however, the reason why I talked about the blue flamingo is because most people know flamingos as pink. And so in this situation, the flamingos here are synonymous to the problems that you're solving, or it can be a brand that you're building or the expert business that you're building. And so, especially if you find in the same niche, so probably let's say you're doing fitness, and so you find everybody's doing bodybuilding in fitness is like a flamingo there. And so the only way for you to stand out in a flamingo, or in a situation of a flamingo whereby every flamingo is pink, is for you to become the blue flamingo. That way people are going to stop noticing the pink flamingos and actually pay attention to the blue flamingo. Now the reason why I use the word blue is because nothing really changes about the overall. If you actually look at the bird itself, nothing has actually changed. The difference is the color. You just painted one blue while the rest are pink. So it's pretty much the same thing, but people are attracted to the blue one because it's the only one among the crowd that stands out. So it's about standing out from the crowd. So the reason why we're talking about blue flamingo here is what it represents is about being unique in your business. It's about finding a different angle of solving the same kind of problem that everybody else is solving. It's about differentiating yourself from your competitors. It's about being the blue flamingo among the pink flamingos. So you pretty much the same process. You're solving the same problem, but you're doing it in a different way that makes you more attractive or more alluring, more to your customers. And then you're able to attract the right kind of people to your business. And so that's the whole strategy behind becoming the blue flamingo. Now, to do that, there are several ways of doing that. I'm just going to highlight one of them in this episode. And the next ones, you're just going to have to pay attention to them on the next few episodes. But now the first way we highlighted how you can differentiate yourself is by finding a problem that no one else is solving. So you're finding an underserved or undeveloped problem area that no one has really kind of taken up the authority or has become the main authority or become the expert in that area. And so in this situation is the previous episode whereby you find the biggest elephant in the room. And so if you can't find the biggest elephant in the room, especially that, And that's because that would actually work if you have some level of experience, some level of dealing, some level of knowledge, that you have some, it's not something brand spanking new to you. It's something you've worked in for a couple of years, maybe you've doubled in for a year or 2 or 3, and you know some of the ins and outs of some of these things, and you're able to kind of come up with certain frustrations about the market or the niche that you're actually working in. And so that is how you can actually find the biggest elephant in the room. You need to be able to be in the room to actually see the different elephants, and then be able to pick out the biggest one in the room. And so now, if you can't find that on your brand sparking, so that's the reason why we have this episode, the Blue Flamingo strategy. This strategy is about helping you stand out in a market or in a niche whereby your brand spanking you, and help you kind of take over that area and become a leader or become an expert in that area. And so one of the strategies for doing that is through process. Now I'm going to talk about let's talk about coffee. Now, I'm a lover of coffee. I love coffee, and I stick to one caffeinated drink a day. So at least, or I try to stick to at least one caffeinated drink a day. But I love coffee, and it's something that most of you guys can relate to. The different kinds of brands of coffee. Oh, by the way, Kenya has one of the best coffees. So if you love some, be sure to check some out from Kenya. Yes, I'm patriotic and I'm still kind of promoting my country. But anyway, that's besides the point. I do love some coffee. I do love myself some coffee. Now, one day, I'm not even sure where or how I discovered this, but I remember finding out that there's a coffee brand called Black Ivory Coffee. And the reason why this brand stood out among all other brands is because of its process of how it is produced. And so Black Ivory Coffee is a brand of coffee. So you do a quick Google search about Black Ivory Coffee. I'm just going to read it out from Google. So Black Ivory Coffee is a brand of coffee produced by the Black Ivory Coffee Company Limited in northern Thailand from Arabica coffee beans. Now, the thing that makes this coffee stand out is not because of its name, which does have some relationship. I'm going to give you a hint. It has something to do with black ivory. But it's not just because of the name. The reason why this kind of coffee brand stood out years after I even saw the commercial, or even the documentary about it, is because of the process that it is produced. And so this coffee, its production process involves elephants eating the coffee beans. And then once they eat them, they wait until they're digested, and then they poop the coffee beans. And so the coffee farmers go collecting the coffee beans from the poop of the elephants, and then that way they use it, and then that's what they sell to you. Okay, obviously they are going to have to kind of clean it out and make sure it's it's fit for human consumption and whatnot. But that is kind of the process that they take through to produce the coffee. And I thought about, wow. And so when I was coming up with an example for this black ivory, for this blue flamingo strategy, one of the categories that I found out of standing out is by process. And you see a lot of businesses do this. So you find a company that does, its process a bit differently than what everybody else does. And so while everybody will be going this way, they are going a different way. They're using a different style, they're using a different direction, they're using a different manufacturing process, a different production process, a different process of service delivery. Maybe they work from 10,000 feet in the air, but I don't know. Anyway, the point is, there's something different about their process to get you the products or the solution that you're looking for as a customer. And so for Black Ivory Coffee, their process that makes them stand out from everyone else is they buy the coffee beans, Arabica coffee beans, they feed them to the elephants, and they wait for the elephants to poop, and then they pick the coffee beans from the elephants' poop, and then they clean it out, make sure it's fit for human consumption, and then they sell it to you for a lot of money. And people actually buy it from them. And so that is one way of actually differentiating yourself from the market, and that is by kind of inventing a different process, a different mechanism of how you fulfill whatever problem that you're solving for your market. And so that is one way of becoming the blue flamingo in terms of process. And so that's it for this episode. That's it for this episode, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.